The first time I watched one of his studies, I was like, okay, a good one. But the more I started to watch, the more I saw something repeat. And then, while there are plenty of details going, I got it down to 3 core things. Things you can start doing right now to improve your own edits. Anyone can do this. You don't need a lot of technical knowledge or special tools for that matter. You can do it in any software or app. But since I make after tutorials, I'll be showing how to do it in AI. So the first thing is something most people completely miss, but it's in almost every one of them. On the surface, his transitions look like simple match cut, just matching movement between 2 clips. But there is one small detail that changes everything. Right after the cut, he adds a shake. A quick shake that makes the transition look like it hits. That tiny bit of movement makes the cut alive. It feels way more dynamic than the typical transitions. You've probably seen plenty of editors do smooth transitions. And this shake isn't unique to Molob. Many others use it, but he's the only one I've seen use it this extensively. It's common in almost all of his videos. So how do you actually make that shake? There are a lot of ways to do it. In After Effects, you can use the wiggle expression of position. I actually covered that in another tutorial. Or you could use a third-party plugin, which is most likely what you use. I'm talking about the Teach plugin from Video Copilot, the same brand behind FS Console. But unlike FS Console, Teach is free. That's why in this tutorial I made a preset and showed you how to build it yourself. I'll be honest, it's not perfect, but it can get the job done. I used the effects exposure, directional blur and transform for the position shape, paired with the wiggle expression that being controlled by the slide. You will need to experiment with it to get it right. I mean, it's not a perfect preset, but it can get the job done. I'll drop the link to the preset if you want. And if you do have the plugin, then it's even easier. But before that, I'm going to show you how to do it with the preset. I got 2 footages here. I already done some basic scale transition. That's why you are seeing these nulls here. I'll hide them. Now I'll create an adjustment layer and apply the preset. Yes, that's a lot of effects. Now, if I press U, which becomes the keyframes, it's all animated. Again, if you've seen that tutorial, you'll know exactly how it's made. Anyway, I'm going to move the keyframe into the middle of the 2 clips, so it works like transition. Let's give it a preview. Yeah, there is a lot of problems here. The flicker feels out of place. The blur isn't great. Basically a lot of problems. Now comes the experimenting part. We basically change some values and move the keyframe around and see if we can get one that looks cool. Okay, a quick mention. If you're wondering about the distortion shake, that's just warp shake with the style set to skews and an expression on the bend property to make it look like a shake. This is an extra, you don't actually need it. Honestly, it might be better to skip the controls altogether and clear the expression from all the effects and just manually keyframe it. Except the transform effect because we need that for position shape. And that would give us something like this. Now, if you do have the plugin, things get a lot of simpler. I'll create an adjustment layer and apply the twitch. Here you only need to keyframe one thing, the amount property. First, I'll add a keyframe in the middle and set it to 60. Then a few frames before it, I'll add another keyframe by setting the value to 0. And a few frames after it, I'll do the same, set it to 0. And I'm going to adjust the graph so the highest value hits mostly at the middle keyframe. Now, if you play it back, nothing happens. But if you toggle this enable section, you will see all these properties. In this case, we only need slide and light turned on. I'll drop the slide amount to 25. After that, it's just experimenting with the different values to get what you want. And to really sell this effect, he adds a turbulent displacement to create that wavy distortion, which is great. I'll quickly add another adjustment layer and apply the turbulent displacement. Add a keyframe on both amount and size. Set the size to 200. And after a couple of frames, set the size to 400 and the amount to 0. Adjust the graph if you want, and that would give us that distortion. And since we are on the topic of plugins, I should also mention the edge shake from Sapphire. Yes, it is also paid, but it's great for this kind of shake. That said, it really deserves its own video. He uses a lot of different effects in his series, but I narrowed it down to 3 that I think show up the most. Let's start with my favorite one, this half-tone kind of effect. He usually drops it right after a shake or an impact. As you can see, it's a cool effect. To make it, duplicate your footage layer and draw a mask where you want the effect to show. Solder the layer so we can see what we are working on. And apply the find edges effect. Then invert it. And duplicate a bunch of times. We are basically stacking this effect to push the edges more. Now we are going to apply the main effect, CC ball action. Set the grid spacing to around 10. At the start, create a keyframe on ball size. And set it to, let's say, 35. And at the end, drop it to 0. Also, open up the scale property, create a keyframe at the start. And at the end, increase scale. Easy is both of those keyframes and adjust the graph to speed up the start of the animation. Now, if I uninstall this layer, you can see we got some of these black bars, which we don't want. We can simply get rid of it by using the extract effect. Put it above the CC ball effect and increase the black point until it got cleaned up. And that's basically it. You can apply some gloss if you want. And if we pair this up with our preset, it would look like this. This is another version I made with the same method, except I used the S edge detect effect from Sapphire instead of find edges. another version. If you want, I link all these project files in the description. Next is the ghost effect. Yes, that's its name. On a similar note, it's just a duplicate of the footage scaling up while disappearing. So simply duplicate the layer, add a keyframe on both scale and opacity at the start, and around at the end of the footage, increase the scale and drop the opacity to 0. And in the graph editor, speed up the start of the animation. To get that black and white look, apply the invert effect, and after that throw the black and white effect. And we have our ghost effect. Now we are moving on to the final effect, the outline. Apply the cartoon effect. Any effect that isolates the edges is fine here. You can use the find edges or S edge detect. It doesn't really matter. And then apply the invert effect to make it black. Pick any color you like using the tint effect. Add some glow and then animate the opacity from 100 to 0. You can also animate the scale if you want. And that's pretty much it. If you watch these videos, you'll notice that the timing of the scene is never flat. Sometimes he speed up the start of the clip while making the end slower. And sometimes the complete opposite. He basically syncs up the footage to the rhythm, the beats, and the overall impact of the scene. To make sense, take these two clips for example. This is already a good match, the blendly nicely because of the match cut. But if I speed up the beginning and end of the footage, it just simply hits harder. It feels more impactful. So to do that, enable time remapping by pressing Ctrl plus Alt T. You will get two keyframes. Easy is both of them. Then head into the graph editor. Make sure you're on the value graph. Now just speed up the start and end. That means pulling these handles inward. Let's do the same thing to the second clip. And if we play it, see the difference? It's huge. Okay, I'm not saying that just do this and your edit will become instantly better. No. It most of the time depends on the footage, audio, and the overall pacing of the edit. So I would say just experiment and tweak until it looks better for you. So yeah, those are the three things I want to highlight. Obviously, there is a lot more that goes into his edits. Transition, sound design, the pacing, clips, the list just goes on. But these three stood out most to me. Okay, a quick side note. In my last video, I mentioned about the Patreon and the little community around it to hopefully connect with you. And honestly, I was surprised how many people joined. Some of you came in and suggested I should have made a Discord instead. In hindsight, that makes way more sense because Patreon is not really built for community and stuff. But Discord is perfect for hanging out and just talking and sharing. So I actually asked for help setting it up. And someone actually reached out telling me he would love to help. But he ended up ghosting me. I still remember you, man. Anyways, I built it by myself. And now it's live. Join if you're interested. And like always, you can find the link below. And if you are good with this Discord and stuff and want to help manage things, possibly become a mod or something, send me a DM. Would love to have someone on board.